Every trader knows the thrill of a win and the sting of a loss. But there's a side of trading most people never talk about, the emotional side. The late nights, the self-doubt, the quiet moments where you start questioning if you're built for this. See, everyone talks about strategy, entries, exits, indicators. But no one tells you about the nights you can't sleep after a loss, or the mornings when you stare at the screen and can't bring yourself to click the button. This isn't about technical analysis or setups. It's about the mental battles that happen in silence. The ones that never show up on your P&L, but end up deciding everything that does. Because the truth is, the market isn't your real opponent. Your emotions are. And until you learn how to master them, you're not really trading the market. You're trading yourself. Trading looks like freedom from the outside. You see people working from home, making money anywhere, living life on their own terms. And for a while, it actually feels like that. You make your first few wins, the confidence builds, and it feels like you've cracked the code. But it doesn't stay that way for long. Because behind every success story you see online, there's a different story playing out in private. There's the tension that builds before every trade. The fear of losing again. The guilt of overtrading when you swore today would be different. No one really talks about the loneliness. How isolating it feels when your entire day depends on whether a line goes up or down. You smile at people, you tell them you're fine, but deep down, the charts have become personal. They reflect your confidence, your patience, even your sense of worth. And when the losses come, and they always do, it doesn't just hit your account. It hits your identity. You start wondering if maybe the market is trying to tell you something about you. That's the hidden war beyond the charts. It's not about money. It's about mindset and how long you can keep believing in yourself when everything tells you not to. This is the point where trading stops being a game and starts becoming a mirror. Because when you lose money, real money, it's not just your account that takes the hit. It's your confidence, your belief in your system, sometimes even your sense of identity. You start second-guessing everything. You check the charts more, not because you need to, but because you can't stop. You tell yourself it's about learning, but deep down it's fear. Fear of missing out. Fear of being wrong again. And here's where psychology takes the wheel, often without you even realizing it. Confirmation bias makes you look for signals that prove your idea was right all along. Loss aversion makes you hold on to losing trades longer than you should, because closing them would mean admitting you were wrong. And then there's anchoring, that mental trap where you cling to a number, a price, a past high, hoping the market will somehow come back to make you feel whole again. Before you know it, your emotions start dictating your strategy. You chase a move because you saw someone post it online. You jump into a trade because you don't want to be left behind. You double down on a bad position because revenge feels easier than acceptance. And that's the real danger. Not the market volatility, but the volatility inside you. The truth is, most traders don't blow up because of bad setups. They blow up because they lose control of their emotions. Because they start trading from pain instead of logic. And when that happens, every trade becomes personal. It's no longer about opportunity. It's about trying to prove something to yourself. That's the plunge. The moment where discipline fades, emotion takes over, and you start fighting a battle you can't win with technicals. Because no amount of analysis can fix what's broken in your mindset. At some point, it stops being just mental. It starts showing up in your body. You wake up tired, even after sleeping. Your heart races before a trade. You can't relax because even when you're away from the screen, your mind is still inside a position. You start noticing the habits. Checking charts on your phone in the middle of the night. Skipping meals because you don't want to miss the setup. Isolating yourself because no one around you really understands what you're dealing with. The market becomes a 24-hour presence. It's in your thoughts, your conversations, your dreams. You tell yourself it's passion, but deep down, it's obsession. And that obsession comes at a cost. Your body runs on adrenaline and caffeine. Your mind cycles between euphoria and anxiety. You're in a constant state of alert, as if one wrong move could make everything collapse. Cortisol levels rise, sleep disappears, relationships suffer. You start feeling distant from the people you care about. Not because you don't love them, but because your focus is trapped somewhere between a candle chart and your own thoughts. This is where many traders quietly burn out. They don't quit the market, they just lose themselves inside it. Because when trading consumes your energy, your focus, your peace, what's left to bring back to real life? The truth is, emotional pain doesn't just live in your head. It spreads into your body, your habits, your health. And if you ignore it long enough, the market won't need to liquidate your account. It'll jeopardize your well-being. There comes a point when you realize you can't keep living like this. You can't keep riding the emotional highs and lows of every trade. Something inside you just says, enough. That's usually where real growth begins. Because recovery in trading doesn't start with a new strategy, it starts with awareness. You begin to notice your triggers. The rush before a trade, the anger after a loss, the urge to jump back in. And instead of reacting, you pause. You breathe. You learn to sit with the discomfort instead of trying to trade your way out of it. You start keeping a journal, not for entries and exits, but for emotions. You write down what you felt, not just what you did. You begin to see patterns, how frustration leads to revenge trades, how boredom turns into overtrading. And with time, that awareness becomes your edge. Then comes structure. You set rules, not just for your trades, but for your life. You create a schedule that includes rest, exercise, real human connection. You learn to walk away from the screen, not because you've given up, but because you finally understand balance. And slowly, something changes. You stop chasing every move. You stop trying to prove something to the market. You start trading from clarity, not emotion. It's not a straight line, progress never is. But every time you choose patience over panic, or discipline over impulse, you rebuild a little more of yourself. And if you're lucky, you find people who understand this journey. A mentor, a community, someone who's been through the same storm and made it out stronger. Because resilience isn't built in isolation. It's built in honesty, in saying, yeah, this got to me, but I'm not done yet. That's how traders heal. Not by winning more, but by learning to stay grounded no matter what the market does next. The deeper you go into trading, the more you realize the real game isn't on the screen. It's in your head. Because strategies evolve. Indicators change. Technology gets faster. But one thing stays the same, the human mind behind every decision. And that's where the next generation of traders will win or lose, not through more data, but through better discipline. Not by predicting the market, but by mastering themselves. We're entering an era where mindset is the ultimate edge. Where emotional awareness is just as valuable as technical skill. Where managing stress, focus, and patience isn't optional. It's the difference between longevity and burnout. Think about it. The traders who survive the longest aren't the ones with the most complex systems. They're the ones who can stay calm when everyone else is losing control. They know how to take a loss without breaking down. How to stay consistent when the market gets chaotic. And how to separate their identity from their results. That's the real mastery, when your self-worth no longer rises and falls with your equity curve. Trading used to be about profit. Now it's about sustainability, about building a life that trading fits into instead of a life consumed by it. The future belongs to the conscious trader. The one who treats the market as a mirror, not a battlefield. Who studies their own behavior with the same precision they study charts. And who understands that peace of mind is profitability. Because when you master your emotions, you stop reacting to the market and start responding to it. That's where true control begins. That's where trading stops being survival and starts becoming art. You know, sometimes I imagine a trader, sitting alone at 2 a.m., screen still glowing, journal open. He writes one line, "I didn't lose to the market today. I lost to myself." Then he pauses, looks at that sentence, and for the first time he doesn't delete it. Because deep down he knows that's where the healing starts. Trading isn't about being perfect. It's about being aware. It's about catching yourself before the spiral, forgiving yourself after the fall, and learning to stand taller every single time. Some days you'll win. Some days you'll bleed. But every day you're learning something the charts can't teach, how to be emotionally bulletproof. And maybe that's the real journey. Not chasing profits, but building peace. Not conquering the market, but understanding yourself in it. So next time you sit before that screen, remember, you're not just trading assets. You're trading emotions, discipline, ego, and belief. The charts are just the surface. The real war happens within. And if you can make peace there, no loss can truly break you, because you've already won the only game that really matters. This is not just trading. This is a transformation.